Lasky smirked as he leaned against the wall, reaching into the pocket of his baggy jeans for his crumpled packet of cigarettes. It was habit more than anything. He didn't find them addictive. He just liked having one in his mouth. The eldritch harlequin mask perched atop his forehead cast a strange shadow across the dusky walls. A shadow that was exacerbated by the fact that this man was a psychopath. It didn't matter that he had a faded cigarette burnt on his left hand. It didn't matter that he had the slightest bit of stubble protruding from his skin. It didn't matter that his chest rose and fell so normally. He wasn't normal. He was psychotic, an insane, malicious murderer who sought to destroy and terrorize anyone unlucky enough to find themselves in his path. He got under your skin, and you hated it, because that's what he wanted. This man was the definition of evil, pure and unmistakable evil. What did you say? His words broke the silence, between the swift click of a cigarette lighter, his right hand cupping around the tantalizing flame to keep it lit. Did he really just direct that question at you? Didn't he realize? No. He was messing with you. He had to be. He just wanted you to think that you were as insane as he was. That's what psychopaths did, right? They fucked with your head and played these mind games with you. They wanted you to break, to question your own sanity, to wonder what was real and what was just a figment of your imagination. You weren't going crazy. You knew what you heard. Your voice quivered, realizing that if Jeff had been in this room, that flame would have put him into one of his episodes. He was terrified of fire. He hated anything to do with it. You'd learned that the hard way, when you'd lit candles in the bathroom one night. He forcibly yanked you from the bath, digging his nails into the tender flesh of your wrist, harshly before shoving you against the wall. You could already feel the bloody crescent shapes etched into your skin, a galaxy of scars and bruises slowly forming, not to mention that you were seeing stars after your skull had crashed against the polishing tiles. He'd aggressively brushed the cluster of candles into the water, the flames flickering and hissing dangerously, before they succumbed to their watery demise. To him, this was satisfaction. He defeated the fire, leaving only the moonlight which streamed through the frosted glass windows. Don't you ever fucking light candles again, he hissed, his words exuding venom as he squeezed your chin harshly between his thumb and forefinger. Do you fucking understand? You nodded in response, your body shivering and contracting violently with the cold before he wrapped a towel around your shoulders, twisting the fabric harshly. It was supposed to feel soft and comforting, yet it only served to remind you of sandpaper, abrading uncomfortably against your skin. Get back in the fucking bedroom. Go to bed. But I was bathing, he stuttered weakly, and I needed to wash my hair. You knew this wasn't the time to show defiance. Red flags were flailing horrendously in the distance. Yet the slightest glimmer of adrenaline was spurring you forward. It feels disgusting when I don't. Whack! You jolted backwards, as his pallid, leathery hand came into contact with your face, sending a harsh, tingling sensation through your cheekbone. There'd definitely be a bruise there now. There was always whenever his temper got the better of him. Did I fucking stutter? He seethed through a clenched jaw, his brow visibly throbbing with impatience. When I told you to go to bed, get in that fucking bedroom and go to sleep. You could have laughed, for he was using his murderous catchphrase in a normal context for once. But you could have laughed anyway, a hysterical, skittish cackle. You were living your life with a fucking murderer of all people. And you missed him. You really missed him. Well? A steady stream of smoke escaped his lips, dissipating shortly after he came into contact with the air. What did you say? You ignored him, continuing to stare into the dusky, shadowless corridor, before the glowing end of his cigarette came into contact with the skin of your arm. Gasping, you tried to jerk away from the searing embers, but just as quickly as your attempted bit of freedom lasted, you were hauled backwards by the chain secured around your fragile wrist. It reminded you of the poisonous tail of a snake, constricting and foreboding death. I suggested you answer my fucking question, Sunshine. He hissed, his lips taut and tense. What did you say? He was pissed. No, he was more than just pissed. He was fucking deranged. I didn't say anything. Were you imagining things? Clearly you were. Then who the fuck said that, huh? Jeff. You glanced around the room, your voice quivering with excitement, yet barely coming above a whisper. What if you were really going crazy, and you had actually said it? Masky seemed pretty damn convinced it was you, though you couldn't tell whether he was just trying to fuck with your head. You'd heard him refer to Jeff as that Cheshire grinning fuck more than once. His words abrasive. If he was really here, there was no way he'd ever let you know. Although you were slowly starting to agree with him, it was you. It had to be you. You were mimicking Jeff's voice from your mind, the very voice which was both comforting and foreboding. Your breath quivered as you finally accepted the truth, succumbing to the realization that he genuinely wasn't there. You remained vulnerable and alone, your life hanging by a thread to which Masky had the knife. Masky simply snorted at your disappointment and strode towards the bed, expressing a derisive laugh. As he did so, what's the matter? Trying to mimic that Cheshire grin fuck and intimidate me? Don't make me laugh. Nobody can intimidate me. Not even my fucking boss. Man, he was really pushing it. You would have knocked him senseless if it wasn't for the fact that your wrist was restrained. You held your tongue, not bothering to utter your innermost thoughts on his limited and immature vocabulary, before he entangled his fingers in your hair and practically yanked it away from your scalp. Are you afraid, Sunshine? Scared because your lover boy isn't here to save the day? I know what I fucking heard. He's here. You kept muttering to yourself, trying to fall into some kind of meditative trance. Anything to get away from this dilapidated cabin, at any rate. He's here. He arched an eyebrow, the expression on those obnoxiously handsome features twisting into a look that would have scared you mindless. Had he been able to see it behind that mask, he might have acted on it, just because he liked to relish in people's fear. But not right now. Right now, he was just being a sarcastic asshole. Whoop-de-fucking-doo. He's here, ready to save the fucking day. Man, he could have made a great actor had he chosen a profession other than being a killer. You almost laughed at the thought. Almost, had it not been for your grimy and oppressive surroundings, or the impending anxiety that you might die in this cesspit. You didn't hear fucking anything, he hissed, changing mood so instantaneously, it almost had you convinced he had two personalities. He leaned closer, his gloved hand flexing onto the feculent, frayed mattress. He was close, too close. It made the hairs on the back of your arm stand on edge. You're going insane, and not in the good way, princess. He's not fucking here, so keep wishing on your pathetic broken dreams. Timothy. You pressed your back against the wall, feeling the crevices of the concrete through the thin material of your tank top as the second male strode into the room. You were hoping that the tank top could save you, make you feel human, yet there was absolutely no protection from either of these malicious men. Whilst Hoodie was slightly less intimidating than Masky, which is probably due to his quiet and level-headed nature, he was still downright frightening, what with his permanently stitched frown. I just received orders from the boss. New orders, so listen up. He wants us to. Do you think I give a flying fuck what he wants? I'm not interested in this bitch here, Brian. If she won't fucking behave, I'll make her behave. She'll soon see. A satisfied, vindictive smirk flashed across his lips when a gloved hand trailed up. Fist struck your face, the impact causing you to roll backwards and smash the back of your head on the metal bed frame. You could see stars, bright stars glimmering like specks in the sky. But it wasn't the sky. It was the darkness clouding your peripheral vision. He'd hit you so hard you almost passed out. Your hand frantically reached up to touch the back of your head, your lower lip trembling when all All you could feel was blood. It printed your fingerprints like paint you'd used to sketch a painting. What? Your reflexes kicked in after that, acting as a defense mechanism, but his fist hit the wall instead, the ample plaster crumbling with the sheer force of it and raining over you like dust. You tried to look anywhere but at him, but it was like his predominant persona was controlling you, making you watch. He was furious, his anger synced with a palpitating of your pulse, and it only fueled him. He kept throwing his fist into that wall, not even the slightest bit fazed by the pain, and he didn't stop. Not even when Hoodie's saffron-colored sleeve grabbed hold of him and hauled him backwards, interfering and receiving the backlash of this psychopath's struggles and incoherent insults. Then the door slammed shut, the only hint that they had left, other than the silence. What the fuck, Brian? Maskey seethed through gritted teeth. What the fuck was his problem? Yanking the sleeve of his jacket from the hooded man's grip, he suppressed the need to physically. You nibbled your lip, then you spat in his face. It was savage, but it was the only thing you could think of. Maskey froze for a second, standing there, apathetically, as the saliva smeared his mask. It vaguely reminded you of the raindrop races you used to have with Jeff, back when you were teenagers. This, however, was an entirely different scenario, one that didn't even compare. There were barely any windows in the room, the only one being barred, cobweb infested and smeared with an unknown substance. Maskey was absolutely furious, and you didn't need to catch sight of his facial features to see that. It was probably just as well that his face was obscured by the eldritch mask, because if looks could kill, you'd definitely be ascending the golden staircase by now. He momentarily paused, the sound of his heavy breathing darker, threatening, almost like a warning. You stupid fucking bitch. You gasped loudly when his extirpated him in that second. So now he wanted to play the fucking conciliator? To interfere when he was just about to break you? This was their damn job. Seems he was forgetting that. Since when did you turn into such a fucking pussy, huh? Wouldn't surprise me if you were shooting flowers with the way you're acting. We're killers, Brian. This is what we do. He lifted a strained hand, tenuously brushing his fingers through his messy russet hair, invigorated by the way the soft texture felt against the coarse surface. It calmed him, but only just. What's so special about that stupid fucking bitch? If that were anyone else, you would have let me kill them already. It was a habit for him to curse so much, to swear like it was the only thing that existed in his vocabulary, to insult anyone that pissed him off. But this was a whole other level. You were like a disease, a stain he couldn't erase, a fucking burden that he needed to rid himself of before you got to him any more than you already had. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. What the hell were you trying to accomplish by killing her? The collision of wood hitting the ample plaster on the wall barely made Hoodie flinch. Even if that was the intention, Maskey didn't like the way he said it, nor the hiss in his voice. He was condescending him. So what if he planned to kill you? You spat on him. You fucking spat on him. Then when he tried to teach you a lesson, Brian here just had to be your knight in shining armor. He growled, reaching into his pocket for another cigarette. You kept things interesting, to say the best. That didn't excuse the fact that you were a fucking bitch. You were bold, courageous even. He'd give you that. But what other reasons did that asshole have for keeping you around? Maybe it was the fun in trying to break your spirit, or his need to feel dominant, or it was just because, unlike how he had Hoodie, Jeff had nothing besides you. Heck, he didn't know how Jeff managed to pretend this little deranged obsession of his was normal. He didn't have the patience to tolerate a human, never mind one like you. Or maybe it was because you were Jeff's childhood sweetheart. The word made him want to vomit. Wait, childhood sweethearts? Nothing besides you. That was it. The boss wants Jeff, right? Hoodie furrowed an eyebrow, not noticeable underneath the material of his mask. And? What's that got to do with any of this? Even if he sounded pissed, his tone was phlegmatic, lacking any emotion. It wasn't like he was incapable of showing emotions, he just didn't feel the need to express them the way Tim did. Screw your head on, Brian. That little bitch in there is gonna bring him right to us. And how? He was interrupted when Maskey struck his hand out, knocking the shelving unit that hung by a duplicated nail off its hinges, watching in admiration as the glass bottles were strewn across the wooden floorboards and smashed into broken pieces. The flammable liquid decorated the ground in flexuous patterns enough of it that it easily catch light. Fuck, he was an absolute genius. When Jeff came groveling, begging them to put him out of his misery, he finally had the credit he deserved, and maybe he'd finally get. Really, Tim? That's your fucking plan? For a moment, he glared at Hoodie, his dark amber orbs narrowing. This was a problem. They were so different, but so alike at the same time. Before they became like this, they were inseparable. That's why they were chosen. That's why they weren't solely created to be on their own. They were partners. He was the obnoxious one, the one who couldn't control his temper. But Brian, he was the composed one, the logical one. They were two pieces of a puzzle. Sometimes, though, he couldn't deny that he absolutely despised him. There were moments when he wanted to kill him, even break his fucking face. But no matter how cold-hearted he was, or how insane he was, there was something that always prevented him from doing it. He laughed then, the sound disseminating the remnants of their surroundings. By setting this motherfucking place on fire. That's how. He's claustrophobic, afraid of fire. You're finally starting to catch up, fucknut. It wasn't the enthusiastic reaction he was expecting, but he still smirked and clapped like a sarcastic idiot. What did Brian expect? A fucking nomination for the most intelligent? Huh. Yeah, right. He wasn't a sarcastic asshole for nothing. And what makes you think you won't try to kill us if we fucking kill her, huh? Exhaling angrily, he shook his head. You know what? Do what the fuck you want, Tim. Maskey grinned. With pleasure. Maskey's eyes narrowed, glaring at the back of Brian's bisque jacket when the delineation of his shadow merged with the darkness of the forest. He couldn't suppress the growl that escaped him, his combat boots tripping over several moldering branches which strewed along the dirt. His laces were frayed from the friction of the walk, and trying to keep up with fucknut. Mind if I actually get the chance to see my fucking masterpiece, Brian? A smirk twitched underneath his mask when the mentioned male halted, turning to face him. If looks could kill. Fuck. He was getting good at almost making him piss his pants. Almost. Diverting his gaze to the distance, where the flames danced like myriad of autumn leaves, pirouetting enigmatically from the trees above. He grinned like the deranged psychopath he was. They didn't call him an arsonist for nothing. I told you before, this is against orders. Oh, you did? Guess you missed the part when I said I don't really give a fuck. A sigh erupted from the hooded male, the red stitching from his mask almost frowning. Was that possible? Oh wait, it was. He was always fucking frowning. And you wonder why Toby is second in command? He didn't need to waste time expressing how he felt. He just pivoted on his heel and disappeared into the pathway between the multitude of identical trees. Maskey hissed, clenching his fist, laughing like a deranged psychopath before following him. Wait up, Brian!